everybody, and thanks so much for joining me at week number 4 in the 12-week Get Organized Challenge with Creative Scrapbooker Magazine. I am so happy that you're here. This week we are going to start cataloging dies, and that is going to lead us into the next few weeks where we really organize all of our dies and stamps and punches and embossing folders and all those kind of weird and funky shaped tools that we have in our scrapbook and paper crafting collection. So this week we're going to actually create our catalog book, if you will, and then we'll carry it forward week to week, adding to it each week. Now, one of the things that happens is we have a tendency, well, not all of us, but if you have a lot of tools, a lot of dies, a lot of stamps, a lot of punches, there's an instant sort of overwhelm, right? So one of the most important things to remember is that you don't have to do all of them this week, and that you can work, once you have a process in place, you can continue to work on it little by little by little, doing a few dies each week or a few punches each week. So don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Take a deep breath. If you do yoga, in the nose, out the mouth. I don't know why that always makes me cough. Maybe that's why I'm not doing yoga. Anyway, so go slow, go steady, do a good job, and then you'll be reaping the rewards of having those things organized. It'll make a lot more sense, and it'll be a lot more fun to craft when you've got all that going on. Okay, so what do you need for organizing your dies? You need something to create your notebook with, or your catalog with. I'm going to recommend 12 by 12 just because it's bigger than 8.5 by 11 or A4, and you can fit more things on there, but you can absolutely use 8.5 by 11 or A4 depending on where you are in the world as well. My catalog is done in A4. That also, I do mine on a Spinder, so it'll fit right on my scrap rack, but it can go in any kind of notebook. Anything like that. I would really recommend though that you either use a 3-ring, or maybe it's 2-ring in the UK, or disc bound, something that you can move pages around in easily. If you start with a fixed notebook like spiral bound or something that you can't add pages to, it's going to be a problem down the line. So something you can put pages in, could be a ring binder, or it could be like a disc binder if you like to work with disc binders, which are really fun. Either one, in either side, any size. You're going to need some kind of paper, obviously, in it. I took some pages out here so you can see. I'm using the back side of ugly paper that's white on the other side. So this is a good use of some of that paper that you know you're never going to use. If it's white on one side, makes it easy to create that catalog on the other side, and so you kind of feel good about using that up as well. You're going to need kind of some basic supplies, scissors, markers, labeling device of some sort, and that could just be a marker. You could write on everything rather than label it. You know me, I love sticky notes and my label maker, so that's what I'm going to use. And then you're going to need some kind of adhesive that you like to work with. Now, I'll talk a little bit about, so I never go anywhere without my Xyron. This is like a purse-size Xyron. I should throw it in my bag. But Xyron's my favorite. And then, of course, basic white glue. And then something to cut your dies with. So the smaller dies, having one of the mini die cutters, the Gemini Mini, the Diamond Press. I think there's another one out there. That's super handy. Fire up your Gemini. You're going to need it to do the other things. And then of course you're going to need your whatever storage tool you're going to work with. Now, one of the weird things about going through this process with me is that I'm going to use a variety of different things just so you can see different things in use, right? So some of you are using only die files, some of you are only using fab files, some of you are using storage and supply cases, some flip and storage binders. Some of you may have another device or system or container that I don't even know about. But my goal is to show you a variety of things so that whatever you're using, you have something that you can apply to. And a couple of different numbering or labeling methods as well. This is why cataloging gets so confusing and so overwhelming, though, is because there's more than one way to do it. Now, I'm going to go through the class, I'm going to go through the steps today, but I'm also going to give you some links to other videos that I've done that are step-by-step die storage that kind of go a little bit slower, a little bit more detailed, really kind of break things down even more, so that if you want to go back and get more information, or you say, I don't know, Tiffany talked about that, she just kind of blew through it, I really feel like I want to understand it better, there are longer videos in place, and I will make sure that we have some links. I'm going to write it down on the page so that there are other printables, videos, that anything I can find from the past that might be more detailed than today. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create the pages for your binder. And it's really simple. You're going to follow your 4-section system. You're going to know what your themes and sentiments are, because you've already made your themes and sentiments list. So that's all you're going to do is create those pages, so that as you go through and start cataloging things, then you are going to know, you're going to have the pages ready to go. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to store all of your dies, right? So presumably they're all stored already. But anything that's loose, you're going to store it first. Don't worry about labeling anything or cutting anything or any of that. The first thing you want to do is choose your storage tools and get all of your dies put away. Most of you have them put away somewhere. It's just that you don't know how to find them. And so the next step is the cataloging step, and that's when we're going to tie everything together so you can find it. But you have to have your dies put away first, so that you know when you create your catalog where to make a note that it is stored. So it seems kind of backwards to how we would do it, but that is exactly what we need to do. So once you get your dies all stored and put away, then it's time to start creating the sections in your catalog. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to pull this out. This is my Christmas tab here. Okay, this entire panel is Christmas. Your dies, your stamps, whatever, I'm just talking about dies, sorry. Your dies do not have to be all Christmas. This could easily be a mixed panel with some Christmas, some birthday, anything like that. It happens to all be Christmas because it's already put together all Christmas, right? But going forward, you don't need to do that. And that is the beauty of cataloging. Now, this came up during the Tuesday live, and it's a little bit confusing. So in my die file now, how it's set up, this is all Christmas. This is empty. So when I start adding, these are all full. When I buy more dies, I'm going to add more magnetic strips, and I'm going to start adding my dies onto this panel. And once I've done that, I'm going to label the panel. And it may be that I buy a whole bunch of Easter dies. Everything on here is actually Easter. Or it may be that this becomes a tab number 7, 8, tab number 8. So this is die file 1 in my notes, DF1. This could be tab number 8, and then when I load it up with dies, where I'm going to write in the catalog, that is going to be tab number 8. And you know what? That's a confusing way to do that. So I'm going to pull a die out, and I'm going to actually do it so it makes more sense. Okay, but my point is, you already have things probably organized by theme, by sentiment, by holiday, right? So you don't need to take that apart. We're just going to roll with what we've already got. But when we start adding things to our system, you don't have to worry anymore. So the question that came up in Tuesday Live was, every time I get new punches, I'm always rearranging my punches to fit punches in where they belong. You don't have to do that anymore, okay? Because you're going to switch over to a label system, and it's going to be so easy to put things away. So I went through all my dies, and I made examples of them, and I put them in my catalog. So Christmas, I don't have my glasses on. There it is. So if you go to the Christmas section of my catalog, you are going to see all of the dies that are on the Christmas panel, and it says right up the side, all of these are in die file number 1 on the Christmas panel. So when I am looking for dies for Christmas, I'm going to say, oh, I have this wonderful Noel die, that's perfect, that's what I want to use. Where is it? It's on die file. It's in the die file number 1 on the panel labeled Christmas. Okay. Now, if I, see this little gift box? That is part of, that is on the Christmas panel. That is with the Christmas dies, die file 1, DF1, Christmas panel. It's all labeled. But, and here's what you need to keep in mind. When you start making dies, examples of dies, where else can that little gift box go? It can go in birthday, it can go in anniversary, it can go in congratulations. So on each page, sorry, I know the camera's not great with that light. On each page where that gift box could belong, it goes on, an example goes there. So that's one of the important things. As you're making examples of your dies, you want to make multiple examples for items that might go in multiple places, right? I have this poinsettia die, right? It's in flowers. It's also going to be in Christmas because poinsettias are Christmas flowers, but they are also flowers. So the important thing is congratulations. That might be in more than one place. Celebrate is on the birthday page, and it's also on the anniversary page. I'm going to give you a little tip about that in just a second. But so as you're cutting dies, you want to be thinking, how many categories could this particular die go in? How many examples do I need to cut to put them in my catalog? And then you're going to label them. DF1 Christmas in this case. So this little gift box right here, this little gift box die is on the Christmas panel in die file 1. So if it's on the anniversary page of my catalog and it's labeled DF1 Christmas, and it's on the birthday page, DF1 Christmas, and it's on the congratulations page, DF1 Christmas. So you don't have to have the die in a bunch of different categories. You just have, and you don't have to have multiples of the die. You just have to have it labeled in each category so that you'll remember that you have it, and then you'll know where to go to get it, right? So that is the beauty of using a catalog. And there are some like hints, tips, tricks for other for like punches and embossing folders and stamps that we're going to go through individually. But with dies, you just want to cut that example of the die. Now, you can also use images off packaging and stuff. The only reason that I prefer to cut the dies that I'm using, and I'm going to do the same thing with rubber stamps or polymer stamps, is I want to see the real size. When I'm looking through my catalog, if I had a picture of this little gift box die that was on the packaging, it might be bigger or smaller than the actual size, and then I wouldn't know, like, sort of, is that going to fit in my space? And that comes in really handy if you like to go to crops and classes and events where you're going to be taking your catalog with you so you remember what you have, but you're not actually taking everything else with you. So having a true to life representation is going to be key down the road as well. So whenever you can use the real size of things, that's going to be an important step in the process. Okay. Another thing to consider as you're going through and doing these is, should I have an anniversary, a birthday, a congratulations section? There might be something else, maybe adult celebration, maybe, I don't know, big night out, I don't know, anything that's even maybe wedding, if you're not having a wedding, just anything that's a special occasion, right? Anything that a gift box and the words congratulations and celebrate might work in. It might be better to have everything in one category that is just called special occasion, and then you don't have to make multiples of every, celebrate, the gift box, the balloons, all of those things for every category. Now, that is going to vary from crafter to crafter because different things play different roles in everyone's life. So, birthday, as an example, if you have children, especially multiple children, and they're young, there's a lot of birthday things that happen, right? There's lots of stuff that is unique to birthday and almost some of it unique to kid birthday. So you may want to have a birthday section while you have little kids, like I did. And then as you get older and everybody's birthdays become less and less of a big deal, right? So instead of pages and pages of kid birthday parties with all their friends and, you know, whatever, the clown or whatever thing happened at their birthday party, it's down to just a night out, a dinner out, a fancy dinner out, or a dinner at a special restaurant instead of this big thing. So you don't need anywhere near as much stuff for birthday, and it's not as specialized. So again, we talked about this with the 4-section system previously. That's one of the nice things about it, is that you can sort of adapt and change, and you can say, okay, I'm going to get rid of these little boy birthday stamps, or I don't need these little girl birthday party things anymore. And I know some of you are thinking, I'm never giving those away. What if I have grandchildren? So I just want to reiterate, it's going to be unique to every crafter, how they think about things and what's important to them, what categories they need. Because as you get older, things like anniversaries and celebrations along that line probably are going to take a bigger role in what you're actually crafting about. So there's my tip for you. Think about what you could consolidate and spend less time cutting dies and that type of thing. Now, when you are putting them into your catalog, I just use white glue and a paintbrush because I don't want to use up good stuff. I started out using my Xyron because I love it, and then I was like, wait a minute, I don't need that. I don't need to do that. White glue dries clear, it dries fast. I just paint out with the paintbrush, especially when I'm talking about things that have a lot of little intricacies, right? Like a lot of little cutouts and stuff. It makes it easier to just, even like the gift box, paint it on, slap that dye down. It's going to dry clear. It's going to be easy. So keep that in mind as well, that you don't need to do anything too crazy that way. And then what I'm going to advise you to do is to work slowly through one container at a time, as I always do, start to finish. So do an entire container of whatever it is that you're working on, and then finish it all the way, and then start the next one. And again, it's because that helps your brain function. So I want to talk quickly about if I had got new dies and I was going to add them to this panel. And I do have a little pocket here with some dies in it that are uncatalogued. So these dies happen to all be birthday or party dies. If I was going to store them here instead of here, I would put them all. I'd lay them out to get a good size on them, and then I would place my. Look at that nice little star. Okay, so these are all birthday party stuff except for this star, right? So I would get them laid out. I put my magnet strip down, I put that down. I'm gonna cut out each of my dies, and I'm just gonna rename this panel die number 8, DF panel 8, whatever code you want, or maybe just number 8, depending on how many die files you have. And then when I cut these, all birthday, they're going to go in my birthday section, and it's going to say DF1 panel 8 or DF1 P8, depending on how you're naming things, right? So everybody's going to name things a little bit differently, but it needs to make sense to you. So I put a label on the front of this that says DF1 die file 1, and then I'm going to label or number the panels, and then I'm going to label the corresponding information on my sheet. Now, it's not always going to be like that because we all do things a little bit differently. We're using different storage tools. So when you look at this, this balloon die right here, it says FSB number 1, that's flip and storage binder number 1, and then it says number 18. So if I go to my shelf where I've got flip and storage binder, so this is flip and storage binder number 1, and then my pockets go 1 through 30 in the flip and storage binder. So that is telling me that in order to find that balloon, I need to go back here to pocket number 18, and there it is right there in pocket number 18. So that's an example of using just numbers And all of these are different, right? So this is birthday, this is flowers, this is a star and love. All the things in this section are different, but I'm finding them just based on that code. Flip and storage binder number 1, pocket number 18. Okay, so if you look at this happy birthday on this, in this birthday section, closely it says TSOL fab file. So here it is. We know what that means. Stamps of Life fab file. And when I open it up, right there, pocket is labeled birthday. Now you will notice that I either use our big big shut your flap tabs or our small shut your flap tabs to label almost everything in the world. If you live somewhere where it's really hot or really cold or really dusty, sticky notes are a little bit tough to work with because you may freeze your glue, melt your glue, or get your glue really dusty. If you find that they don't stick well for you, I just take a adhesive runner and just run a little adhesive and stick it on there, and depending on what type of adhesive I've used, could be there forever. Again, I like to use repositional adhesive if I'm doing that because I like to move my tabs around because I like everything to stay in order. Anyway, so there it is, birthday. Now, when I cut, another tip, when I cut the words happy birthday, I cut a second set of them and I laminated them. You don't necessarily have to laminate them. You could just cut them and put them on a card, or you could stick them to the back of the magnet. The reason I like to do that with words is because if you look at these words in the pocket, it is really hard to read words that are dies, right? Any of the sentiment words are difficult to read, mostly because they're backwards, but even the scripty font is hard to read. So I make a copy, I made an extra one when I cut them out, and then I can put it in the pocket. What's the advantage to laminating it and not sticking it onto the back of the magnet? The advantage is if I am working on a project, whether it's a card or a page or whatever, I can take that laminate on and I can lay it over the card to see how much space it actually takes up, or depending how good of a job I've done, you know, what angle I'm going to put it at. But really, it's just going to give me a really easy way to sort of test out how it's going to look on my project. So it's a nice little benefit. I know you can, the little laminator that I have is just a little, I think it's a swing line laminator that I bought at Target, and I will give you a little tip about that though. No, about the laminator at Office Depot. I've had it for years. They worked, I don't know if they ever die, but I also bought the laminating pockets at Office Depot. And Office Depot, my old house, was next to Target, and I went into Target to buy something else, and I thought, oh, I should just look at if they have the laminating pockets here and how much they are. And they were like the exact same box, exact same brand, exact same quantity, was like twice as much at Office Depot as it was at Target. And I didn't even look on Amazon. I wasn't that smart. But I have had the pockets, the laminating pockets that I bought for years. I mean, literally, I think I bought a pack of 50 or maybe it's 100 laminating pockets, and I've had them years. So anyway, and also Xyron has a laminating function, a cold laminating function as well. So if you want to laminate things, you may already have a Xyron that can do cold lamination, or you may not want to do it at all. But it is a nice extra feature. And again, you can just put them also on the card. I mean, on the back of the magnet, so you know what they look like. And that was really the big benefit, or the reason that I did it to start with, because I could never read the words. And then I was like, oh, this is handy to have those that way as well. Okay, so I talked about making duplicates, I talked about labeling, I talked about laminating, I think I talked about starting a new section for your dies. I think that pretty much covers it for this week. So your mission this week is to start cataloging your dies, and I would recommend that you do 20 to 30 dies a day. And for some of you that's going to take, you're going to be able to get all your dies done in, 5 days or a 7-day week. And for some of you, you're going to have to keep rolling it over. Don't worry about that. There's a lot of people, probably most of you are going to have to keep rolling it over. But creating that catalog, and you can look in the feed and look on the Get Organized Challenge and ask people, and almost everyone will tell you it was a ton of work, and almost everyone will tell you it was worth every minute that they spent getting that done. So start that. What's your paper sorting goal for the week? If you're still sorting paper, put that down. Embellishments, are you still working on embellishments? You want to get a few more of those done this week. And so you have lines on your checklist. What is your goal for those things? Remember, it is better to set a small goal and knock it out of the park for your brain and your motivation and your inspiration than it is to set a big goal and not get it done. So work in small batches, do a little bit, check it off as you go. I mean, it's almost better to say, okay, my goal for embellishment sorting this week is 1 box, check that off, and then say, oh, I'm going to sort another box, check that off. Much better for your psyche, as you will. Okay, when you finish your goals this week, what are you going to do? You're going to take advantage of your reward, and don't forget to enter the contest, this week's contest. Remember, every week you have to enter to win the new prize each week. All right, I think that wraps it up, everybody. So have a great week. Get a lot of sorting and organizing done this week. I'll look for your comments and questions on the Get Organized Challenge page on Facebook. And also, I will see you Monday I won't see you Monday. By the time you see this, well, maybe you'll see it on Sunday. And then I will see you for Monday for questions and answers on the Crave Scrapbook or magazine page as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get busy. Let's get organized. Let's have fun. And then let's get a lot of crafting done. All right. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.